Good evening, I'm Jeremy Watkins and welcome to this special edition of Imparja's Newsreel. A young Aboriginal man has been making headlines around the nation over the past couple of weeks. Murrindoo Yanna is the coordinator of the Carpentaria Land Council based in Burketown in northwest Queensland. On the 4th of July there was a meeting in Burketown, a meeting to vote on support or otherwise of the Century Zinc mine. This meeting has been attacked as being illegal, unconstitutional, unrepresentative and intimidatory. Imparja was at that meeting just 1 week ago from today. Tonight's program doesn't set out to explore the big picture of the Century mine and its importance to Australia. It's the story of the people of the Gulf country, their feelings and wants, and the story of Murrindoo Yanna. It's the story of the 4th of July, the day the people said no.
The Gulf of Carpentaria is a shallow sea. Islands hug the low coastline. Salt flats and low scrub make up the immediate hinterland. Rivers snake from rich red escarpments. The Gulf region is sparsely populated. Main centres are Normanton and Burketown. There are large Aboriginal communities through the area and a peppering of roadhouses. Aboriginal people make up a large majority of the population. The Gulf country has been a rich provider for longer than humans have walked these shores. And there's another richness in this country. Beneath the surface lies an abundant wealth of base metals, enough to feed a resource-starved world for another 20 years or so. At the heart of it all is the Century Zinc mine site, the largest zinc deposit in the world, clean zinc ore, no iron contamination, making it suitable for the smelters of Europe. The largest mining conglomerate in the world, RTZ-CRA, owns Century Zinc Limited. Century Zinc has reportedly already invested up to $200 million in the Gulf project. The only threat to this giant project proceeding has been the traditional owners, the Indigenous people of the Gulf. And this is a story of these Indigenous people, of their negotiations with a mining giant, and of a meeting held under trees in northwest Queensland. The mine developers and the Queensland government refused to give validity to this meeting, but it was here that a can of worms was opened, pointing to corruption and attempted bribery, and conspiracy, a conspiracy of coercion. If there is coercion at any level, it's being forced by a global need for concentrates from the Century ore body. High-flying international corporate politics are placing increasing pressure on the local management of CZL to get the show on the road, and this stress is being transferred to the people in the Gulf. For more than 5 years, negotiations have been going on between Century Zinc and the people of the Gulf country.
And 1991, we started to sit down and negotiate about a deal. And everybody was on one tone. Everybody said no mining or no pipeline to Point Parker.
We kept saying, well, no use sitting down negotiating with them if they're not listening to you properly. They can't be listening. The elders said, well, look, you've been saying no for 1 year. We're learning white fellas' language, yet they can't understand what no is.
But CRA didn't know the meaning of the word no. The negotiations kept going. In what was to be proven as a play of bluff poker, CRA put a deadline of June 30, 1996 on the people of the Gulf, saying if there was not broad community support for the mine by then, the future of the project would be in doubt. Partial support came on June 27, when the traditional Wanya Elders Aboriginal Corporation delivered total support to the mine going ahead. The Century mine is on land to which the Wanya people lay claim to native title. The United Gulf Region Aboriginal Corporation, the peak Aboriginal group in the area, held a meeting in Burketown on Friday, June 28. A secret ballot was held and there was a 12-11 result in favour of the mine.
Well, the first meeting was, organised by these advisors who have all been going wonky and jumping in bed with CRA and the government lately. But they purposefully left out groups. There were groups there at the table, I believe, that were left out because they're well known for their advocacy against the mine and pipeline.
Murrindoo Yanna is the young man in the centre of the Gulf controversy. He's the coordinator of the Carpentaria Land Council, which represents most of the language groups affected by the mine and pipeline. He says at the June 28 meeting, Aboriginal elders were confused with the outcome of the secret ballot. The salaried advisors were requested to leave that meeting and the motion was explained to the elders.
The second vote cleared all the confusion up after a lot of talking and debate. Second vote reflected the people.
And they found out the real truth. That never was told to them by our advisors, you name it. They weren't told the actual truth. And that's why they went the other way, then made it invalid, and at 15-5 come about.
So the elders left that meeting believing they'd voted against the mine going ahead. The vote was 15-5 by a show of hands.
For years we have known the answer was so simple. Now finally, with this one added ingredient so cleverly acquired by my trusty assistant Beaker, we can share with the world a second example of human perfection. And you have another key to game show heaven!
How seriously do you take your medicines? Did you know that some medicines should be taken at the same time every day? Did you know that you should never use old medicines? And for some medicines, especially antibiotics, you should always complete the full course or they may not work as effectively. Got any more questions? This week is National Medicines Week. Ask your doctor, ask your pharmacist how you can be wise with medicines. Just ask.
Do your cattle in pastures look like this? Soon pastures will dry off and cattle will lose weight. So now's the time to organise your dry season supplements from Top End Rural Supplies. Their extensive range is manufactured in Katherine, which means quicker and regular supplies. For a cattle supplement program backed by years of experience in the top end that'll meet your cattle requirements, contact Top End Rural Supplies on 89722 522 or fax them. Top End Rural Supplies, the Territory's best.
What is the objection of the Aboriginal people to a project that should bring wealth and jobs to the region? Murrinduyana sums it up concisely: the environment and cultural impact. Recent history weighs heavily on the decisions of these Gulf country people. In the first quarter of this century, hundreds of Aboriginal people of different cultural groups were herded together and kept on a few acres of hot, dry ridge on the outskirts of Burketown. Then they were moved to Dumaji, a community northwest of Burketown.
That's not a community where people are getting run over by the police in the street, nothing being done about it. Ain't a community where 3 kids hanged themselves in the last month. That's not a community, that's a concentration camp.
Clarence Waldron is the outspoken chair of the United Gulf Group, known as UGRAC.
Are they looking over and seeing what's happening in our communities right now? How are they looking at the crime, the corruption, all that in our community right now?
No.
It's going to be worse when we get the impact from the mines coming into our community.
There's a big waterhole just out of Burketown, a significant place in Gunga tradition. This is where Murrindu's father, uncles and aunts were born, under trees along this watercourse.
This area used to be a beautiful big freshwater lake, lilies, reeds, trees, everything here, brim, barramundi, turtle, crocodile, salt and fresh, and just deep as anything, like this high. This is what this was, a bridge to run the town pump out along this bridge and pump water generated by a windmill into town, feed the whole town on water, the industrial consumption, everything, sprinklers, everything. This used to be that full and that clean, the water, but now, as you can see from all the cattle and stuff, they've broken down the ecosystem, the weeds and everything, the fish have all died, no water left, it silts up every year, it's stuffed. We've had to move the pump way out to another big freshwater river, and that's happened in my lifetime. I could come here as a kid, swim, fish, you know, go and dig the lilies up and everything, the panda nuts and everything. But now it's just buggered, you know. I wouldn't take, you can't bring your kids here for nothing.
The Gunga people say the rainbow, or creation serpent, has gone from the lake.
If you believe in the rainbow, in the fact that a rainbow represents life, and especially in the terms of salt of fresh water, it represents, from its own colours on its skin, all of the life and the variety of animal life and plant life in the. That's what it is. So when they say Aboriginal people, I believe why the rainbow left here was when the life left the place, the fish, the weeds, everything broke down, the water left. There was a rainbow leaving, and all the colour went out of the place, all the life went out of the place.
Yana sees the Century mine as having an impact over the whole region in the way pastoralism has impacted on this lake.
They're talking about 1,000 times the impact on a whole region that the cattle have done on this place. So I can't bring my kids here to, like my dad did to me, to enjoy anything and pass that culture on, black, white or brindle. I can't, and I want to be able to keep taking my kid to Lawn Hills or other areas in Gunga country and stuff to be able to share all that, and I don't want them to end up like this. That's what Century's about.
Waldron says it's the way Century has gone about the negotiating that's upset him.
That I've been fighting this battle for 7 long years, And I seen what CRA done to us. I seen what everybody done to us. They went around and let people look at dollar signs first and then tried to negotiate. But they already bought the people with that 60 mil. But underneath it all, those people that he bought, and Aboriginal people of my community, been bought with a price that I would not even feed me dogs on. Because it's all put onto UGRAC's table, there it goes. Nice and pretty with a few dollars on the table. But at the end of the day, you know who's fighting for that money? Us in the Gulf, fighting against one another again.
Century Zinc says that full environmental impact and cultural impact studies have been done, but these studies have not appeased the chair of UGRAC.
What about our environment? They just threw 60 million in and said, here, fight over it, you niggas.
Not listened for 6 years to all of our well-founded, well-stated, well-recorded environmental concerns, from the mine to the pipeline to the port to the shipping route coming through, right up to all our cultural heritage concerns about our sites, about our culture being degraded with the impact of all these miners, the negative impacts of miners on the roads, on the people in this region. Rather than answer any of that, they come along at the 11th hour with 60 million bucks, which they even in the offer says, this is to compensate for all those other worries. They never answered nothing about the environment or culture in their offer.
Century Zinc's record on the ground in the Gulf is anything but good. Already one significant sacred site has been destroyed.
Me and Hazel will end up on that big mountain, that Discovery Hill with that big hole there in the ground. And you know, it makes you feel hurt so inside when things like that go ahead.
Discovery Hill was a sacred site of the Wanyi. It was destroyed during ore body exploration. CZL has compensated the group $250,000 and has promised 2 land excisions, but the damage hasn't inspired confidence in relation to sacred sites.
The champ's playing for all the prizes, including the Audi.
How do you feel?
Pretty good. Good.
Oh, all right. Can't phase her any, can we?
Can anyone beat this fast money champion? Sale of the Century, 5:30 tomorrow on Imparja.
Breakfast.
Kellogg's Pop-Tarts. With their delicious fruit filling and their fresh baked aroma, a quick hot breakfast never tasted so good. Kellogg's Pop-Tarts, the hasty tasty breakfast pastry.
There were plenty of courses I could have done, but only one could teach me how to lead.
I expected to learn about managing others. What I didn't realise was how much I'd learned about myself.
Australia's finest leadership and management college is looking for the leaders of tomorrow. So give yourself an edge. Phone 13 1901. The Army. The Edge.
When controversy strikes,
The plane is on the way down.
in the right company,
Fighting words.
the truth comes out.
You said they'd have the naming rights.
The Footy Show.
10,000 Geelong supporters going to Sydney. I'd love to have the Moccasin concession in King's Cross.
Tonight on Imparja.
So just who is this Murrindoo Yana? An activist upstart? A militant radical? Potentially he's all of those. But first and foremost, he's a Gunga leader man.
And my mob go right up to territory border along the coast, Gunga leader. We're sort of related. We're neighbour tribe to Wanyi, and we've got a lot of intermarriage and stuff, but I'm not a Wanyi or anything. But I'm a Gunga leader. And
Jason Yana got a good start for a little Aboriginal kid from the Gulf. Worked through school, went away to boarding school in Charters Towers, got expelled, went to a neighbouring school, got expelled, but he stuck to it. He became accustomed to discipline, or he learnt to work the system.
Went away to Atherton High School for year 11 and 12 on Atherton Tablelands. Then straight after that went to university in Toowoomba for a year and a half, and then got a job, a cadetship with the ABC in Townsville.
At the age of 21, Yana went through full initiation, the making man ritual. This involves circumcision and learning the traditional law. He took his name Murrindoo, as is his right.
My faith and my trust and my heart was always with the people. They could sense that, but it's like your heart's with the bloke you're representing in court, but if you ain't a barrister, he don't want you there representing him, so you got to get those proper law qualifications.
He sees a connection to traditional law as important in his day-to-day dealings with traditional people.
You can be a director of a land council, all this crap, and have all the university degrees in the world, but no old blackfella sitting in the dust on the ground going to give you the time of day if you don't have his qualifications that he respects.
While Yana was working as a cadet journalist in Townsville, his father passed away, leaving the Carpentaria Land Council without a coordinator. The people asked him to come home to run the Land Council. At first he was slightly intimidated by the position.
I'd say my little piece slowly, one bit at a time, and a lot of people agree and supportive of it, and it gave me more confidence each time. So I got more cocky, I suppose, and a bit smarter because I learned to listen to all those old people.
So young Murrindu Yana piloted the Carpentaria Land Council through the negotiations with Century Zinc, ending up with that meeting on Friday, June 28. A 12-11 ballot in favour of the mine, followed by a 15-5 vote against the mine. The Aboriginal representatives returned to their communities, oblivious of what was about to happen. Over the following week, a vitriolic media campaign attempted to assassinate the character of the main Aboriginal players from the Gulf, at the same time enshrining that June 28 meeting as offering broad community support for the mine.
Terry O'Shane come on the radio Monday morning, and I'd had the radio on early for 7:30, and I'd heard all the crap he was going on with, and out of bed and in the cold shower, straight over to office. Shocked all the staff, first time they'd seen me there that early in their lives.
Terry O'Shane, the ATSIC commissioner from Townsville, who hadn't attended the meeting, was on national radio saying Friday's vote was in favour of the mine. Immediately following O'Shane's pro-mine statement, Century Zinc Managing Director Ian Williams stated over the media that community support for the Century project had been confirmed by a regional commissioner of ATSIC. Murrindu Yana was inflamed. He explained to the media that the Friday meeting had voted to rescind the motion. And on Tuesday, he was reported as saying blood would be shed if the mine went ahead. This statement tore like wildfire through the media. Yana claims he was reported out of context.
Many mines come in overnight and marginalise the people like that, especially traditional people. There is always violence and bloodshed because the miners aren't bringing their wives and kids. They're the ones in the pub giving grog to our girls, upsetting the boyfriends of fellas, kicking our fellas in the guts, 10 of them, and causing a whole lot of problems. We're usually getting the short end of it. We're not out there killing all the honkies. We're getting the hell kicked out of us in the pub. But pretty soon all the communities get wild. There's bloodshed back and forth, race riots, all this rap. We want to avoid that in the Gulf. It's nice here now. We're just learning to get on with each other. That's what we want to keep for all of Australia. A lot of white fellas love coming here to get away from the exploitation of natural resources happening in their own backyards. So, that's what we want to protect, and that's what I go on about in blood. Blood's going to flow here. It's not a promise, a threat. It's a historical fact.
On Tuesday, Williams from Century Zinc was reported as saying the mine would go ahead after hearing it had won support amongst the Aboriginal communities of the Gulf. Williams stated the advice came from ATSIC Regional Commissioner Terry O'Shane. And on Tuesday, a veiled threat through the media from CRA Group Executive Ian Gould saying land access problems will force mining investment overseas. And RTZ CRA sets a deadline of midnight Sunday to gain community support or financial support will cease. On Wednesday, July 3, the Queensland Premier and Mining Minister both attack statements made by Yana and say his actions are putting other mining ventures at risk. And on Wednesday, the federal government says it will force legislation through to support the Queensland government against the Gulf Aboriginal people. On Wednesday night, Terry O'Shane on ABC TV accused Yana of heightening the tension in the community. The turmoil of media hysteria through the week built up to steamroll Ugraq, Murrindu Yana and the people of the Gulf.
That could have been the end of the show for us, but people refused to lay down like dogs and die. Not just me, all of those people at that meeting, the whole lot of them. They're my strength, my inspiration. That's where I get it from. They're the hard people. They'd seen all the negative media in the world all that week, all the pressures on them. If they were ever going to say yes to a mine, they would have said it yesterday with the biggest, most negative media campaign ever in our history has been in that last week.
While the nation swung behind the mining development, Ugraq called a summit. Many of the Aboriginal people were confused. They thought they had rescinded the pro-mine motion. Once again, they gathered in Burketown. It was the 4th of July. The meeting was held outside town this time. None of the employed advisors were invited. In the faraway urban south, ATSIC Chair Lois O'Donoghue went on national television saying the meeting wasn't needed, that it intimidated the Aboriginal people. Yet ATSIC's regional chair was at the meeting, by invitation.
I'm the ATSIC chairperson of the region, the Mount Isa Gulf region. And I'm down here today to scrutinise the voting system, to make sure that it's done on a democratic system in accordance with the Council and Associations Act and the Constitution set down by UGRAC and CLC.
Be rest assured, the Constitution here, I'll show anyone if they've got any doubts. This is a legal meeting today, it's been called properly. Clarence Walden, the chair, opened the meeting, welcomed everyone for coming. We called an in-camera session.
The minutes of the meeting of Friday, June 28 were not accepted. A motion was passed to ask for an inquiry into the traditional Wanyi Elders Aboriginal Corporation. This group had supported the mine all the way through negotiations, but it was claimed that the salaried employees were not giving adequate information to the elders. The chair of the Wanyi Elders was at the 4th of July meeting.
I'm the chairman of the elders of the Wanyi Corporation. I've never seen no minutes what Robert O'Keefe's doing and whatsoever. A file of paper like this, I never see it. What they do it, no, I got bugger all. All I just find to pick up a can of salt or a can of beer. That's about all. I never seen no file, a paper, of minutes, nothing at all. And by right, I should be getting it.
And this is how they got the Wanyi Traditional Elders going, you know. There's one company, Aboriginal organisation, that I know that never got funded through ADSIC. And every time that we went to the state government for funding for our organisations in the past, oh, you'll have to go to ADSIC. Why couldn't the Wanyi Traditional Elders go to ADSIC?
Entertainment at its best next on Midday. Kate Sobrano performs live, Tim Ferguson with something special, and is your home a trap for deadly chemicals? Lots of prizes to give away, the fabulous Can-Can dancers. Don't miss the fun at midday.
In the deepest jungle, two tribes will fight a savage war unless a sacred animal god is found. Jim Carrey plays pet detective Ace Ventura in When Nature Calls. Now it's Civic Video. Call 132212 to reserve your copy. Why are TIO's customers so loyal?
Why should I go elsewhere when TIO offer insurance at the right price? TIO makes good sense to me.
It's nice to see a company putting something back into the community through sponsorship. TIO are community-minded and proud Territorians too.
I thought they only sold insurance, but I got my home loan and leasing finance there as well. Talk about one-stop shopping.
Yes, we're your winning team, the TIO.
TIO makes good sense to me.
You know what I'd really like right now? A KFC chicken fillet burger.
Or their new chicken fillet burger combo. That's where you get a chicken fillet burger, chips, and a Pepsi, all for $4.75.
The meeting was thrown open to general discussion on the mine, each of the representatives reporting from their constituents.
And for myself from the beginning until now, and my people still say no for the pipeline because it will destroy our cultural ways of living.
And not only that, it's gonna destroy my river, my hunting grounds up there. Well, I can't even go to the river and dive now.
Yeah.
My kids can't even go. You know, my two kids come back from school, expect to go out diving for turtles like we done last year. We can't even do it.
Magara is the centre of all our beliefs. And there's an area there where they cannot go into, yet this is one of the places where they badly want to go.
We're living there on an island, and we're not far away from mainland. I don't like to see that pipeline going down to the sea.
You can tell them to go back to London and tell Sir Derek not to come back to our country, their boss in CRA, or you can let them move in and be our neighbours for 20 years.
Now when that mining does go ahead, it'll destroy everything.
So don't be afraid. If you want to say no to the mine, say no. Yeah. Because if he want to fight, I'll give him all the fight. And that's honest, true. I'll stand here for my people.
Looking at the children's future as they grow up, they want to learn their culture. You mean ancestors never had plenty of money? Nothing. Just been hunt.
If they could, they wouldn't even deal with us. They would have had their mine and pipeline like Joe Bjelke-Petersen days. They can't go nowhere without us.
I thank God that we got two young men like these two boys who are very strong and who are encouraging us all right here today. And I really thank that God is on my side.
And a motion was put to the chair. This was the big one.
And
Support of the mine or not.
The community they represent do not support Century Mine.
All those in favour, not of the mine, of that motion of saying no to the mine, raise your hands, please.
That's why I said that motion.
Can we keep them right up? We have to count this, we have to count this properly.
The outcome, a unanimous vote against the mine going ahead.
The meeting here today was a valid meeting. In fact, the one that was before had discrepancies about how legal it was.
The vote truly signalled, undoubtedly in the world, unanimously, what people really meant to say.
The final count today, yes, it does stand, and it was done legally.
And after the meeting, the people gathered, a statement of unity.
Pack your bag and go back to where you ever belong.
On the 4th of July, the people of the Gulf of Carpentaria spoke. There will be many attempts to discredit this group of elders because it's in many interests to do so. There's a very good chance the mine will go ahead. That's for the courts and the Australian people to decide. But the way Century Zinc and the Queensland Government have handled negotiations in the Gulf is definitely open to question. CZL has failed in its negotiations because the environmental and cultural concerns were not explained satisfactorily to the people. The company chose to tell rather than to consult. The company chose to work outside native title legislation, a process already bringing developers and traditional owners to beneficial conclusions across the border and the territory. Century Zinc decided to pour money and the promise of money into the community first, possibly hoping it would blind the people to some of their concerns. Well, some were blinded, but many were not.
Turned them against their own people that live and walk and talk and share the same shop, share the same butcher shop, share everything in the community together. And a bit of money made them to go the other way. And that money would not even feed my dogs.
And Murrinduyana, he'd probably rather be home, taking his son fishing and swimming. But he'll carry on his cause, fight for the people he represents, seek the inquiry into corruption, bribery and this conspiracy of coercion that the 4th of July meeting requested him to. His fight is all about the self-determination of the Indigenous people he represents and getting them a fair go under a system that has rarely done so. Already this young man has walked into the history books, this man with a fire in his belly, this Gunga leader man.
Thank you for being with us tonight for this special edition of Newsreel. Newsreel is currently talking to CZL in relation to the allegations inferred during this program. Stay tuned and good evening.